This is Noah Tillinghast from Callidus Capital, and today I'm going to be talking about 7 retirement myths that pre-retirees commonly believe. The first myth is that Medicare will cover all my healthcare costs. Now, while Medicare is foundational, it leaves significant gaps that require planning. For instance, original Medicare, Parts A and B, does not include dental, vision, or hearing coverage. Medicare Supplement or Medicare Advantage plans can add coverage, but they also add monthly premiums, and the average retired couple may spend over $300,000 on healthcare throughout retirement. That's according to a study by Fidelity several years ago. Now, long-term care, which can be by far the largest retirement expense in terms of retirement healthcare expense, is largely not covered by Medicare, and if you need that, there are several hoops you have to jump through to receive long-term care. The bottom line is that healthcare should be treated as a budget line item, not as a covered expense in the vast majority of scenarios. Now, the second myth we're going to cover is that I'll spend less money in retirement. And indeed, early retirement is actually often the highest spend phase, simply because between 62 and 72, you're at home, you still have your health, and you're able to do all the things that you would want to do when you were working a job, but just didn't have the time for travel or hobbies or other things that you wanted to do. Spending does tend to decline in later retirement years, but not generally the first decade. And planning on an artificially reduced budget from day one, you can run short during the years when you're able to do things and still travel and visit your grandkids. Now, the next retirement myth is that claiming Social Security at 62 makes sense. Now, it can make sense, however, claiming early locks in a permanent reduction. Math rarely favors it, and if you claim at 62 versus, let's say, 70, your benefit ends up being a fraction of what it would be at 70. And for married couples, if you have a higher earner for married couples, if you have a higher earner and a lower earner, one strategy, which if you have Social Security, you can use it as long-term insurance. One strategy you can use, if you're going to use it this way, is the lower earner claims Social Security before the higher earner. The higher earner waits until 70, and then at 70 they claim. And let's say you live to be 105. You'll have that higher Social Security benefit until you die. If you're going to be claiming at 62, or even if you're going to claim later, just to see the math, you should do or have someone do a break-even analysis for you. The vast majority of the time, if you're in good health, it makes sense to wait. And if you have a longer life expectancy, it definitely makes sense to wait. Generally around 80 is where break-evens come in, but you have to figure out what exactly your situation was. Now, the third myth is that my 401k balance is my retirement number. Now, your retirement, you can calculate what 401k balance would give you enough after-tax and after-expense income, but your real retirement number should be your after-tax, after-expense, sustainable withdrawal. Your 401k should have, you should be basing the account balance off an income number, and when that income number will be the same as the amount that you can withdraw after tax and after expenses. For instance, if you're withdrawing from a traditional IRA or 401k, it's taxed like ordinary income when you withdraw it, and that can significantly hurt any income that you are planning on taking, or in the future, if you have RMDs, those can push you into higher tax brackets, which can also ding your retirement income planning. Now, your planning should happen before retirement, not after. If it happens before, then there are a lot of things you can do to minimize taxes over the long term. If it happens after, you often just end up having to pay the IRS whatever they say, and you don't have much flexibility to manage taxes throughout retirement. Now, the next myth we'll cover is that my house is my backup plan. Now, home equity is a real asset, but it's illiquid. It's nothing like a timing reserve. For instance, in southern New Hampshire, home values have risen significantly, and if you've had a house here for a long time, you can have fairly significant equity. Now, if you're accessing that equity, you would either have to sell your house or take a home equity loan, and those can be somewhat complex. Real estate doesn't always cooperate with your retirement timeline, as markets can fluctuate, and next year you may not be able to sell your house for what you think it's worth. Home equity should be included in your retirement plan, but it should be treated as a longer-term asset, potentially something you transfer to your kids if you're planning on transferring money to your kids, and don't treat it as a liquid emergency fund. The next myth is, I can always go back to work if I need to. Now, unplanned early retirement is somewhat common. For instance, if you had a health scare or something like that, and there is an argument for retiring early if you have the assets to do so. But if you're planning on coming back, the job market may not always welcome you. You may not be able to get the same position and the same pay you had, and with AI advancing, you may not be able to have the same job, or even be able to perform a significant amount of jobs in the economy because they're either automated, or people that are using AI are able to do them a lot better than you could. And also physical limitations and health challenges limit the type or hours that you can work. If you're interested in working, one thing you could do is work part-time. A lot of people do this just to stay off the couch when they're retiring, so that they have time for their hobbies, time for travel. But they still have like something to base their day around, and some people, if they retire early, they can just lose all the purpose they have in their life. So working part-time can help with that. But you should generally build your retirement plan to assume that you can support yourself without working. However, there can be certain scenarios that you would be able to work, for instance, part-time or consulting. Now, this is probably the most dangerous myth. I have plenty of time to figure this out. Now, the 5 to 10 years before you retire is when you have to make the most irreversible decisions, the decisions that involve the largest impact on your retirement. And if you get these wrong, or if they're not optimized, you can end up, for instance, let's say you claim Social Security early. You would end up, let's say you claimed at 62, you could end up earning like tens of thousands of dollars less over your lifetime because of that decision. Or let's say you miss your Medicare enrollment window. You can have significant penalties for that. In addition, if you're retired, so you don't have consistent income, but before you have RMDs, these are the years when you should be moving generally moving money over to via Roth conversions, and just every year that you delay in tax planning and retirement planning, it is another year that you could have used more optimally, generally, to to minimize taxes in the future and just manage how you'll be able to withdraw future income, manage how large RMDs will be, and if you mess these decisions up, you can end up with a giant tax bill in retirement, which significantly reduces your retirement income. Now, just looking at all of these, the first one is blocked by my head, but the sixth that you can see is that you'll spend less, which age 62 to 72 is often the highest spending years. Now, obviously, all of these, if you're in a special situation, they can change, but you should consider you should consider all of these when you're retiring, or you should have your financial planner. You should ask them what their opinion on a lot of these is, and how they're managing, for instance, tax planning in your retirement. Now, also, if you're not doing tax planning, or you're not working with someone who's doing tax planning, you should either start working with someone who's managing your money to reduce your taxes, just because simply because it has a dramatic impact on the amount of income that you can generate. Retirement planning. If you're panicking about retirement planning, that's definitely the wrong place to be. A lot of if you're trying to make the optimal decision, it should be precise. You should figure out exactly what you need, generally what's going to happen to you in the future, and talking to a financial planner can help a lot with that. They've seen a lot of cases in the past. If you're interested in seeing more content like this, then you can subscribe and follow for more. See you next time.